We have a motion, and, this was
Made by Mr. Delaney.
made by Mr. Delaney, was seconded by Mr. O'Leary to submit the revised Article 11 in the warrant.
If I could
Yes.
comment, I want to thank the board for the clarification on what this does. I still will be abstaining because it still gives the board the power to supersede a signed contract.
Okay, with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'll vote no rather than abstain. I'll
Okay.
vote no.
4-1. Thank you. Okay, on the October town meeting warrant, Michael, you have a motion for that? And that'll be for
Yeah, I'll
a
find it.
revised version, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to sign the October 6, 2008 town meeting warrant.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Harris, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Looks like we could do it in one night, huh?
Maybe.
Maybe.
We better, otherwise it's gonna take us a month to get through.
That's right, because the next meeting would be a week from that Thursday.
No, it's-
Okay, and John is here. Oh, that's
That's
the
the
other
other
one,
one.
okay. Just check and see what day it is.
Yep. You watching me? You witnessing? I was gonna sign your name, but I don't know how to spell it. I don't know how to spell it.
The unused version.
We'll take care of that.
So sign here.
How you doing, John? Good.
There you are, sir. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, and the next item on our agenda is appointments. Mr. Vino.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to, as you can see, fellow board members, on our minutes, we have 3 names listed. The last name, James Leonard, 286 Havel Street, I just received that this week, and I have not had a chance to speak with the gentleman yet. I would like to do that before I actually make the appointment. I would assume in the next meeting I will make the appointment. So what I will be doing tonight is I'll be asking for you, I mean, all 3 names are there. I'm going to read all 3 names. But I'm recommending, I'm going to recommend to the board Dana A. Rowe, Jr., 61 Adams Street, and Scott Stimson, 251 Swan Pond Road. So having said that, Mr. Chairman, I move to place into nomination the following names for appointment as members of the Forest Committee for terms to expire December 31st, 2010. Dana A. Rowe, Jr., 61 Adams Street, Scott Simpson, 251 Swan Pond Road, and James Leonard, 286 Haverhill Street. And again, I am recommending the first 2, and I'm sure I will be recommending Mr. Leonard at our next meeting.
Second.
I have a
Motion made by Mr. Vino, seconded by Mr. Harris. Yes, Steve.
The forestry committee, is it's rolling under the town administrator, is it going to be strictly advisory, or how's it gonna work? Because I know most of what we're targeting and talking about now is up Swan Pond area. And these 2 people are both direct abutters, they live in Swan Pond area. I didn't know if it presents any type of a conflict from a butter standpoint. I mean, both gentlemen are very good, both of them have served the community well over the years. I just didn't know, I forget what role the forestry committee played in relation to
Well,
adjudicating things, you know?
It seemed like years and years ago, they had a volunteer group that would go in and assist townspeople for cutting timber, on marked timber, and removing it. This proposal, I believe, is a little different, perhaps, the town administrator could elaborate.
We would like
At least is my understanding, anyway.
We would like to have the timber harvesting done by a professional firm. And if a decision or recommendation is made by the forestry committee to make products available to residents, what I would ask that it be products that are, so to speak, on the ground versus things that are being cut down. That way, the town doesn't assume the liability of someone felling a tree and causing injury to themselves or someone else. So I could imagine under that scenario, the committee would have a role in regulating that process with the residents. That said, it hasn't actually been worked out in terms of what their definition would be going forward.
My understanding is that in the process of having someone remove timber, right, the cost of doing it would be, their benefit would be collecting the timber?
You mean the professional company?
Yes.
There's actually a substantial value in the wood, as I understand, because of wood products being so expensive. So what we could do is, thinking this thing out, we could put it out to bid and receive bids and specify that the timber harvester would own X number of square feet of space to take the timber, and he could turn that into profit and ultimately pay the town, but also could identify and cut down areas for residents. But I think from my perspective, my goal has always been to try to get the biggest bang for the buck that we can from the town. And that would involve bringing in a professional and having the professional actually do the harvesting. Pay for that, obviously.
Mr. Beamer?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Mr. Valiakonis, because I did speak to Mr. Rowe in depth about this. And it's actually two separate entities. The forest harvester, if you want to call them, it's a separate program other than what the forestry committee may do. The forestry committee, according to Mr. Rowe, they did like clearing of dead wood. They had certain dates that residents could come in and get wood, et cetera, et cetera. I believe the forest harvester, well, I know it is. I know it's a totally different program, according to Mr. Rowe, and it's actually a moneymaker for the town. And the intent here is to try to build up the forestry committee, again, so that they can be, more active and
I just hope that whatever charge they're given doesn't put these two gentlemen at risk in relation to conflict of interest laws, that's all. That was my only point in bringing it up, and so that going forward, I guess it's gonna rest in your lap or on your desk, just need to be cognizant of it. So, that's all.
Okay, any other comments?
Are there other current members of this committee, or are these the first?
yes, there's one other gentleman. I can't think of his name right now.
Is it Steve Nathan?
Yes,
Steve Nathan.
yes,
Steve who?
Nathan?
Oh, Nathan.
Steve Nathan, yeah. He's a current member. I couldn't think of his name.
This is essentially reactivating
The committee.
the committee.
I believe Mr. Rowe was on it years ago, too. I think he was.
Okay, at this point, any other questions?
We have to do a roll call, though.
Roll call vote. Mr. O'Leary.
Mr. Rowe and Mr. Stimson.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Harris. Okay.
Mr. Rowe and Mr. Simpson.
Mr. Rowe and Mr. Stimson.
Mr. Rowe and Mr. Stimson.
The chair votes Mr. Rowe and Mr. Stimson. Okay, with that, the chair at this point would like to make a presentation which is intended on providing the board with some additional financial information associated with the decisions that we need to make for our October town meeting votes on the warrant. Give me a minute. Board members have a copy.
No, I made them. I made it up. Because they're gonna be meeting on Wednesday, and we'll be going through the same thing. May as well study it. Bob, you might wanna turn that mic around, so, the mic right there.
In front of the table.
Right by the table, just so that, pick you up a little better.
Okay, start with the certification of free cash. That has now been officially certified according to the finance director. It's $1,946,045. And it consists of a number of elements. The three significant ones are the town share, the sale of the Berry Center. This is money we came in during fiscal 2008, and we could not have access to the money until it was certified. And that money is the intent of public town meeting to transfer it to the debt stabilization fund. Additionally, the Berry Center Smart Growth, this was a $3,000 per living unit that came from the state as part of the 40R program. That money has been received again fiscal 2008, and it will also be transferred into the debt stabilization fund. The balance is a result of revenue and budget surpluses. And that number is $229,045, and that is available for October town meeting expenditures. Just to go over the debt stabilization fund, kind of give everybody a picture of where we are with it. The initial funding, we funded in October 2007 with $404,250, which came from additional funding from the state associated with the Berry Center. In October April of 2008, for our budget, covered the 2009 budget, excuse me, I should say, 2009. We took $103,000 to keep the debt payment, non-exempt debt payment flat. So we used $103,000 for that. And as you recall, we also used $150,000 of that money to fund the budget deficits that we had in our struggle to get our school system back to a reasonable level of operation, eliminating the Wednesdays and putting back some of the programs, which left the current balance in that account is $158,000. As I said in the previous slide, the intent is to put back $1.717 million from the free cash at town meeting, which will bring the debt stabilization fund to $1,868,000. That money will be used to fund and to keep cap our debt service. And as you recall this evening, we bonded over $4 million in permanent debt, and we will be, although the remaining bands, which are bachelor school, when that gets converted to debt, if we don't, for example, if we don't get any additional money from the state,